So Call of Duty Warzone has all but taken over the gaming world these last few months. It's become an absolute behemoth with over 50 million players as of the 10th of April 2020. Now it's been a fair old while since I played any Call of Duty. Pretty sure the last one I seriously played was the multiplayer of Black Ops 2. I did play a bit of Modern Warfare when the free-to-play weekend was on, as to be honest I had very little else to do with my time. But in the quest to create good content that's relevant, I'm going to give this Warzone a try. Not that anyone else has covered Warzone in any great detail before, obviously. Now I'm a Battlefield player at heart and have been since the days of Battlefield 3, so I can tell already this is going to take some getting used to. Call of Duty's mechanics from the movement to the weapon play to the damage system is way different from Battlefield, so as you'll see from the gameplay coming up, it's pretty obvious in my performance. But I figured that despite the odds I'd give it a go and figured that I'd document my time with this game, see what I make of it and hopefully provide some useful insight into what the common player can expect. I'm hoping this video will serve as a nice kind of roundup to my first hour or so of playing the game, including my impressions and thoughts. Loading in for the first time, ignoring the warm-up phase, was pretty good. I'm not a fan of the graphical style in the contrast to the comparatively flush and exciting Battlefield look, but then again, this isn't Battlefield. Like everyone else who loaded in for the first time, I chose to land somewhere off the beaten track in hopes that I'd have time to gather some useful items and have a better chance at not dying immediately. So I proceeded to run around a few houses and grab pretty much everything in sight. I have absolutely no idea what guns were any good, so I went for what I would normally go for a Battlefield, an SMG type weapon and a luxurious shotgun as a secondary. I then grabbed a load of plates and also cash, not that I had any clue what this did to be perfectly honest. I decided that as I had weapons now, the next logical thing to do would be to find a player and get my first few deaths over and done with. So in my first few matches I made a personal effort to grab as many bounties as I could in order to force a confrontation and practice weapon play in the game. I think the first thing I really noticed was that the time to kill in this game is very high. I can't say I'm completely surprised as it is a battle royale where the whole point is you only die once, so naturally I would expect it to be a bit harder to kill someone. This took some serious getting used to for me as I found myself having to be accurate for far longer than I traditionally would in an FPS. The realistic gunplay also took some getting used to, as reverberating sights and recoil make it far from a point and shoot experience. I've got to admit that I only learned this the hard way by putting myself in gunfights that no decent Warzone player would. Running out in front of people camped on rooftops thinking I could outgun them proved to be a foolish idea. I simply found myself unable to hit anyone for a consistent amount of time. I'd say in this game that cover and player position are far more important than a traditional FPS. Not quite on the level of Rainbow Six, but definitely more than in say Battlefield 5. Now I did learn from this as I consistently made an effort to grab a shotgun and force close range engagement. In my mind I figured that it would be easier to get good at close range accuracy than figure out how to aim at people further away. Naturally a shotgun and SMG combo is about as easy as it gets for close range, as this did work well for me. I was to get my first few kills and would happily promote this method to any player, as in the short term it worked quite well. I know nothing about the Warzone map, and whilst I'm trying to learn this I'd rather not have to worry about the combat until I have to. The map itself, for a new player at least, is incredibly deep, as you'd expect, with countless nooks and crannies to loot and explore. Oftentimes I found myself looking for chests in empty rooms simply because I couldn't figure out how to find my way up a flight of stairs. This is obviously a new player problem, and one that I'm used to, but I'm sure it will come with time. What hit me pretty quick as well in this game is that it's a lot about tactics in a way that I really didn't expect from a Call of Duty title. You simply cannot run around and rack up kills as you find yourself dead long before you've even seen anybody. Instead, tacticals and line of sight seem far more important. In this gameplay you can see a guy camping atop a ladder, clearly waiting for me to go up and get lit up. So in a moment of pure genius you can see that I used an airstrike and nuke the roof. Now this may be the only intelligent play I've made so far in the game, but it did work and demonstrates a good point. Tacticals in this game got a big buff in comparison to most Call of Duties, and that's pretty obvious, so I'm looking forward to see how important and useful they can be in a gunfight. Something else that stood out to me in this game is there's lots of running around to get used to. The game is vast and the constant need for kit drives you to move quickly out of fear of someone being more armed than you are. But this is luck dictated, so you could well find yourself running around the map for a decent chunk of time before finding the weapons and kit that you need. Having a full inventory of weapons, ammo and equipment is vital in my opinion, as there's simply so much that can happen in this game that you need to be prepared for every scenario. An exception to this is apparent though in the first initial drop that you make. Those first seconds of feet on the ground is a mad dash to grab any weapon that you can, and is also the most exciting. As you'll see from the clip playing, having any weapon can be deadly in this phase, as it's not hard to outgun the default pistol. This is one of those only times that I truly found myself evaluating weapons on the fly for what I could use. For instance, LMGs. They feel heavy and cumbersome, and moving slow in this game is not a good idea. If it's not an epic or a legendary variant, I simply didn't bother most of the time. Keeping mobile is way more important than laying down big firepower in a constant stream. I rarely even died from LMGs. Instead, assault rifles and SMGs were my undoing. I'm nowhere near a decent player yet either, so maybe that isn't saying much. The combat in this game is great fun, even though it requires a bit of a learning curve. Rushing in straight away and hoping to kill people just doesn't work. You're going to be outplayed or more often than not outsmarted. Fighting is a delicate balance of pushing and moving, getting out of the way when you can and rushing when you hear a reload. It's very intense, and the added pressure of knowing that dying is pretty much game over makes it very enjoyable. The capacity to drop high kill gameplays is obviously there, as landing or visiting trafficked areas brings you into contact with a lot of people in a short space of time. Despite the rest of the gameplay having a slow tempo, moments when you meet multiple people are definitely some of the fastest and most stressful in gaming, but the wide variety of engagements make it great fun. It feels as though no two fights are the same. The sheer volume of equipment, kill streaks and guns make it great fun. Sure, you do see some weapons more than others, but it never feels repetitive. It feels very rewarding whenever you do get a kill as well, because it actually makes a difference to you. Once I figured out that cash was actually useful rather than a flex, going to buy stations became second nature. All of the stuff you can buy makes it an essential component of the game, as UAVs and loadout drops give you a big advantage. The fact that killing someone did more than just add a kill to your record, it was exciting. There was proper motivation to go and get kills, as it enabled you to have a serious advantage, and far more choice than you would otherwise have. Getting kills is rewarding and dying is frustrating, just as it should be. Now obviously with all my deaths I experienced quite a bit of time in the gulag, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was expecting a kind of luck of the draw duel to the death, but to my surprise the gulag is an entirely skill based affair. I found myself making use of the tacticals here, as the limited weapons make claiming any advantage a necessity, as I'm no esports player. It felt like a breath of fresh air in the battle royale department. Standing around on the balconies hurling rocks seems pretty pointless in my opinion, but it's only really hiding online queues, so I can't knock. Dying here again, as I did so many times, was annoying. I felt as though I'd let a chance at redemption slip through my fingers as I was booted back to the loading screen, and this was kind of true. On the rare occasion where I did actually win my gulag duel, diving back in was pretty rewarding. It was exciting to know that I was playing a big game of catch up and I felt like the underdog destined to win, but this was nice and short-lived as I found myself landing looted areas and dying very quickly. But I'm not an experienced player, so moving forwards I know that I'll be aiming for places that aren't looted and offer some semblance of hope, rather than just dying again and quitting out. I can see why millions of people are playing this game, besides the fact that it's free. It's nothing like the normal Call of Duty experience, and it's a big step in the right direction. Call of Duty has felt stale and stagnant these last few years. It's seen a big decline in popularity, which I'm not happy about, as we all remember the franchise in its prime. Warzone just might be a renewal of the franchise we know and love. The combat feels rewarding and challenging, the game pushes you to fight and that makes it exciting and fun. The scale of the map and its intensity make it interesting and complex, so I can see how learning it would be fun to do and also give you a real advantage in game. Every kill feels like you earned it, and the vast different ways these gunfights can play out make it great fun. Dying also carries some weight, as you know that life just got a lot harder for yourself. The gulag offers a glimmer of hope that you may be able to turn things around, but it is a long shot. Dying here cements the fact that you didn't make it, but winning does allow you a chance to make a serious comeback. True, you will most likely die before you can find any decent weapons, but the potential is still there. I've only played for an hour or so I'm feeling relaxed. I'm hoping this video has been somewhat entertaining and has provided a little narrative for anyone thinking about hopping on the Warzone bandwagon. I'm going to carry on documenting my playtime in this game and see how it evolves, see if I can uncover some tips and shed some light on not dying constantly as I have been. I believe my highest placement so far is only rank 69, so I've clearly got a way to go, but I'm happy to give it a try.